Good evening, ladies.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. Just so you ladies know, I'm going to put everyone on mute. I had initially opened this session up and tried to limit it to a small group so that we could actually have question and answer. I had an overwhelming response to people wanting to join, and so we have more people tonight than I had initially planned who are supposed to join the live. So I'm going to put everyone on mute, but I am going to make sure that as we go through tonight's presentation, we have a chance to do question and answer. So I was trying to give it a little bit more time because, like I said, I had a overwhelming response, but I did do a cutoff, and I think I only have about 21 people, I think, who are supposed to be in tonight's session. But as you can see, uh, people are slowly joining. So I'm going to give it another couple of minutes. I do want to thank you ladies for being on time. And I promise you that the intent of tonight's presentation is to limit it to 1 hour because I do respect your time, but I'll stay around in case anyone wants to stay around longer. So I'm going to give just a few more minutes in case anybody else pops on. But if not, we're going to, go full speed ahead. And I'm slowly admitting people. People are in the waiting room, so I am trying to get them added. So if you would just bear with me, we'll get started here in the next 3 to 5 minutes. Okay, I'm back on. For those of you who are already on, my name is Denisha McClary. I am presenting tonight an overview of the USDA's 502 Direct Home Loan Program. Before I start, I already kind of told this to the folks who were on early, but I'm going to have everyone on mute so that I can try to get through the presentation. It's going to be a short presentation. Hopefully it's going to give you all the information you need to try to determine if you might be
Let me
eligible for
carry
this,
food on. Hush.
to try to determine if you might be eligible for this program. Again, I'm putting everyone on mute as they come into the session. Please do not unmute your microphone until we get to a portion of the discussion where we allow for questions and comments. That way it's, can flow smoothly, it can be less disruptive, and everyone can hear and understand the information. There are people who are still trying to get access. I'm getting messages from people, and I am slowly adding people as they get on, but I do not want to be disrespectful to the time of the folks who made it here on time. And so I want to go ahead and get started. Again, please make sure that your mic remains on mute during the presentation. At some point, typically after each slide with information, we will go over, I'll ask if there are any questions, and I'll entertain questions and try to provide you with as much information as I can. Um, Now, again, I'm presenting this information on behalf of the Town of Andrews Community and Economic Development Association. The Town of Andrews Community and Economic Development Association, or the TOA-CEDA, is a South Carolina nonprofit committed to improving the community and economy of the Town of Andrews, South Carolina, and supported areas through training, education, and access to programs and services that spur business development and job training, encourage entrepreneurship, and provide housing, education, and access. The Town of Andrews Community and Economic Development Association is partnered with the Federation of Appalachian Housing Enterprise, or FAHI.org. And FAHI is the intermediary who administers the USDA's 502 Direct Home Loan Program. So this program, which we're going to talk about tonight, is a federal program that belongs to the USDA, but the USDA does not provide direct service to applicants. For direct service to applicants, they contract with intermediaries in the different regions of the United States, and FAHI is the intermediary who handles this region of the United States. Because FAHI can't be everywhere at once, they partner with nonprofits like the Town of Andrews Community and Economic Development Association, and they provide us training and get us certified to be qualified loan packagers for this program. So I am acting as the local intermediary for the USDA for this program. Does anyone have any questions so far? Okay, so what I am going to do is I'm going to go straight to our slides so that I can try to get as much information out as possible. Then we can leave room for questions and answers and comments at the end. And people may continue to join, and I'll just continue to add them. So, can everyone see the slides? If you cannot see the slides, please let me know now. Okay. I got a thumbs up, so I think everybody's good. So tonight, we're going to talk about the USDA's Section 502 Direct Home Loan Program. We're going to just go over, generally what the program is, because when we put this flyer out to tell people about this program or to invite people to this information session, we had questions, including questions like, is this program really real? So we're going to talk about the program, give a brief overview of the program because it's very real. We're going to talk about who are eligible applicants, what properties are eligible to be purchased or built, and the application process to qualify for the USDA Section 502 Direct Home Loan Program. And again, like I said, on behalf of the town of Andrews, the town of Andrews Community and Economic Development Association. I am a qualified loan packager for FAHI, and FAHI is the organization that has the contract with the USDA to administer this program in this region of the United States. Now, the purpose of this program is to give direct home loans, subsidies, or to help you qualify if you are low income or very low income and you are in a rural area. This is a part of the USDA's Rural Development Program. So it provides payment assistance to increase your ability to qualify for a loan. Essentially, the USDA guarantees your loan, and it's for low and very low income households. The standard term for a Section 502 loan is 33 years. I don't know if any of you have purchased or attempted to purchase a home using a traditional loan, but a traditional loan are generally financed for 30 years. So under this program, there is a little bit longer financing, which generally also helps the payments be a little lower. So traditionally, or the standard term is 33 years. It can be a shorter term for smaller loans because you can use this loan not just to purchase a home or build a new home, but if you actually own a home that needs rehabilitation or needs some kind of work done on it, you can also qualify for this loan for that. So the term can be shorter. And in some cases, in the cases of folks who are qualified for very low income or who may meet certain other conditions, then you can also have your home financed for up to 38 years. And essentially, this is a no money down home loan program for people who are low income or very low income, and you don't need perfect credit to qualify. What you do have to have, though, is your own closing cost. And the closing cost on the average closing cost, depending on where you are in the country under this program, is anywhere from like $1,200 to maybe up to $2,700. And so you are responsible for the closing costs associated with your loan, but you would be responsible for that even if you were doing a traditional loan. But a traditional loan, typically, where this loan requires no money down, traditional loan financing typically requires you to put up maybe 10% of the value of the loan to 20% of the value of the loan, depending on the program. So before I go any further, does anyone have any questions about this information thus far? If so, you can take your microphone off mute. Okay, so we'll move on to the next slide. And now we're going to talk about who's eligible for this program. And again, I said that this was for low income and very low income households. So whether or not you are low income or very low income is going to be determined by two major factors, and that is the state and the county that you live in, as well as the number of members in your household. We're going to go back and we're going to talk about that. I'm going to pull up a chart and show you guys what I mean. Is anyone who is on this line not in Georgetown or Williamsburg County in South Carolina?
I'm not.
Where are you located?
I'm in Florence, South Carolina.
Okay. So I'll be able to, what I'll do is I'll pull up Florence so you can see it. So I'm going to show you guys how you can go and look to see what your eligible income is based on where you're located. But because this is like, you know, the most basic factor. However, when we talk about your income and whether or not you qualify, there are deductions that are available. So if you're a little bit above the low or very low income level, you know, in your area, there are deductions for out-of-pocket expenses such as childcare and medical expenses, and maybe a few other deductions that we can look at. So even though you may not appear to be qualified just on the surface, we will still work with you get all of your income statements, get all of the applicable deductions that you might be able to take, and we will adjust your income based on those deductions, and you might still qualify for the program. Okay. You have to have stable and dependable income. And generally, what this means is you have to show income that is pretty consistent for about 2 years. Now, there are exceptions. Again, none of these things, with the exception of meeting the income requirements, some of these things have wiggle room that we'll talk about. But stable and dependable income, again, I say that this is 2 years is generally the standard. However, if you have income that is stable and dependable, but you haven't been in the workforce for more than 2 years, or for at least 2 years, we can justify that under certain circumstances. For instance, if you were a stay-at-home mom and your last child just went to high school, and you've gone to school yourself since the child was in school, and you've become a teacher, and you've now started teaching, and you're in your first year of teaching, that's a stable and dependable income because you've just started. You're likely to stay in there. And so maybe the reason you haven't been in the workforce for 2 years or more is because at the time you were home providing care for your children who were, young school age children. And now that they're older, and you've taken steps to get yourself some stable, dependable income, those are things that would still qualify you. So stable and dependable income, we say typically, generally about 2 years. But even if your income or your income source has not been something that you've had for 2 years or more, it does not mean that you're automatically disqualified. We still look at the circumstances of your employment. You must be without decent, sanitary, and safe housing. Now, what does this mean, be without decent, sanitary, and safe housing? Well, I'm going to give you a couple of examples. I'm going to start with the family that I'm currently working with. I'm working with a family out of Michigan, believe it or not, because FAHI does cover um, other areas in the United States. And so they are an intermediary for loans in the state of Michigan. And so because I am a partner with them, even though my focus is to help folks in my community, they also send me clients from other states. So I'm working with a family from Michigan. This family is a family of 9. They have 7 children, and it's a husband and wife household. The family was renting a place that got burned down, and so they're displaced and they're in a hotel. So based on their status, they're without decent, sanitary, safe housing. Under the circumstances, they are considered homeless because they're displaced, and so they get priority processing for their application. However, I live in an environment where there is a lack of available um, housing. I live in Andrews, South Carolina, which is in Georgetown County. For those of you who are familiar with this area, it's difficult to find like apartments. There's always a long waiting list for places. It's very difficult to find housing. And so what generally happens is, for a lot of young families, they wind up staying in multi-generational households, meaning even if you went away to college, you came back, it's not that you necessarily couldn't afford to pay rent somewhere, but there might not have been places available for you to rent. And so they wind up staying with parents. And, sometimes that family can have the father, the mother, and 1 or 2 children, and they're all living in one bedroom at a relative's house because there's a lack of available housing in this community. Well, they would be considered to be without decent sanitary safe housing, because overcrowding in a space is considered to be a qualifying condition. Overcrowding would be where there is 1.5 people or so to each room in the house. And by room, we mean like the living room, bedrooms, any of the livable spaces. If there's enough people in that space that it's more than 1.5 people there in each of those rooms, that, by the, based on the formula for calculating the number of rooms and the people, then they are without decent sanitary safe housing. Also, the conditions of the house. If it, you know what decent sanitary and safe means. And so if you're living in places where the available housing, um, doesn't have adequate running water, doesn't have other conditions which might qualify it for being lacking decency, sanitariness, and safety, then those houses would also qualify. That would mean that you're in a qualifying condition. If you're unable to obtain sufficient credit from other sources. Now, clearly it means that maybe because of your income or even maybe because of your credit, you're not able to go out and secure a traditional loan. However, like I was saying, I'm working with this family out of Michigan. This family, before they even came to us, had qualified for a loan, a home loan of $110,000 from Quicken Loans. Now, on the surface, it would seem like they are able to obtain sufficient credit from other sources, or they're able to get, credit for a house from other sources. However, they live in Michigan. They are considered very low income. They are displaced, and the $110,000 that they were eligible for in that region of the United States would not put them in a position where they could afford more than maybe a 700 or 800 square foot home. And for a 9 family household, that is not sufficient. Um, so because of their condition, because of their personal situation, because of their income and all of that stuff, and their credit is still good enough to qualify for financing, they are potentially eligible for up to $215,000 in home loans under this program, which would put them in a much better circumstance, right? So even though they had a traditional loan, we look at the circumstances to see whether or not that is sufficient credit for that individual to determine if they are in a qualifying position. Okay. When you use this program, you have to agree to personally occupy the dwelling. That means you can't be, even if you're eligible for this program, um, because, and this is why this is important, because people who already own a home can still qualify for this program. So you can still qualify for this program if you have a home, provided that home no longer meets, like there's been some change in the family circumstances, and that home is no longer sufficient for the family. So let's say, like, again, you started out in a smaller home, and now you've had a couple of more children, or someone who's a permanent member of the household has now suffered some permanent disability that requires some kind of major modification or something to the home, or to be upgraded to a new home, then they would still potentially be eligible for this program. However, they have to agree to personally occupy the home that this loan is going to be used for as their primary dwelling. So they can't say, okay, well, I qualify because of this condition and I'm going to buy this house, but I'm just going to use it for rental income and I'm going to rent it out, or I'm going to move half of the family in there, but I'm going to stay in this other place. So that is not allowed. You must meet citizenship. You must be a U.S. citizen or be a lawfully admitted non-citizen. You must have the legal capacity to incur a home loan. And one second, I'm sorry, y'all. And you must not be barred from participation in any federal program, because again, this is a federal program, and you must demonstrate both the willingness and ability to repay the loan. And now this is going to be a credit determination. And like I said, you don't have to have perfect credit. We're going to go through a scenario that I used to show how someone, and I used an example for Georgetown County, could qualify even without perfect credit. And so I'll show you that soon. But before I move on from this slide, does anyone have any questions about anything on this slide? Okay. Now, what are eligible properties? What kind of homes can you use this money for? So it has to be in a qualified census tract, and that's determined by the USDA. Is generally limited to rural areas. And we can verify when you actually find the place that you want to purchase, we can verify by the address on the USDA website whether or not that's in a qualifying area. Okay. It has to be a modest property, which means you can't, even if you qualified for a $300,000 loan based on your credit, you cannot use this money to go out and purchase a mansion if you live in an area of the United States where $300,000 would give you a mansion. So it can't have in-ground swimming pools. Again, it has to be modest, like a normal family home for the area that you live in. You can purchase tiny homes because I've been asked this question, but the home has to be at least 400 square feet. And that is because they want to make sure that there's adequate space for cooking, eating, sleeping, and sanitary needs based on the household size. So, again, I think when people think about this program, it's easy to think that this is when you think about low income, you're thinking about families or people with children. But a single person with no children who meets all of the other requirements can still qualify for this program. And so there are a lot of single people who are low or very low income who might just want to build a little tiny home, something that's not going to be very expensive, something, they know that maybe they're older, they're in their retirement ages. And so that is still allowable under these conditions. The home just has to be built, again, with adequate space for cooking, eating, sleeping, and sanitary needs, and meet all of the other requirements for normal inspections by HUD. Once you have figured out what home you want or where you want to have it, if you're not buying a home that's already built, if you've decided you want to get a loan to build a home, then of course the plans for that building have to be submitted and to ensure that it meets all of the requirements for building. And this loan also includes the financing of new modular or manufactured homes, so long as certain conditions are met. For instance, if you are buying a manufactured home, and the more, whatever your loan amount is has to pay for the installment and everything for the house, and it has to be installed on a like permanently affixed to the land, like installed on a concrete slab and all of that stuff. And in fact, if you live in a trailer and you own a trailer right now, and that trailer is not affixed or installed on a concrete slab, and you meet all of the other requirements for financing, then you may qualify for a home upgrade, because trailers that are not actually permanently affixed are considered um, not to meet the standard for being safe, homes. And so the money that you get from here can either be used to upgrade your home and put it on the slab, or to find you a new home if you meet all of the other requirements. And again, the primary purpose of this program, again, is to help families get into decent, safe, sanitary housing. And so you cannot purchase property under this program that is designed as income producing property. So if the primary purpose, based on the zoning laws or however it's built, if over 80% or over 50% or whatever of that space is a commercial space, then you cannot use this program to purchase. Any other questions? Okay. There being no questions, I'll move to the next slide. So now that you kind of have gotten an idea of whether or not you might qualify, or whether or not this program might be for you and the types of properties that are available or that you can build or buy, I wanted to give you a brief overview of the application process with us. Because we want people to be able to go through a pre-screening process, we are offering these information sessions. This is the first. We will have another one tomorrow for another group of folks after the information session. if any of you wish to apply for the program so that you can start the pre-screening process with us on a one-on-one basis, then at the end of this slide, there's going to be an email address that I provide. We just ask that you send us an email, and there's going to be some information on that slide that we'll need you to send to us. You send us an email with that information, and we will do a one-on-one pre-screening with you and provide you with a copy of the application to get you started. There are going to be some documents that we're going to have to request from for each application. This information is required by the program. What we do is we pre-screen all the applicants, we assemble all of the applications, we do all of the preliminary determinations of eligibility, and then we submit the packet for a formal decision. Typically, when your packet is submitted for a formal decision, within 3 days, you'll get an acknowledgement. And within 2 weeks, you may have already, if your packet was complete and contained everything that that was necessary for it to go to final processing, within 2 weeks, you will likely know if you are approved for the program. What happens after that is that sometime after that, usually within 30 days, you will receive a determination letter. And that determination letter will tell you, of course, your formal approval, and it'll tell you how much you're approved for. And in South Carolina is a very efficient state at handling and processing these applications. In fact, it's one of the best states in the Appalachian region. And so we have applicants that from the time they submit their application, if all of their documentation is included, and that's our job to make sure that we request and receive all of the documentation that you will need so that your application gets through the process quickly. In South Carolina, we have people who go from the application process, from submission of the application to closing on their property within, as soon as 90 days. So again, within that first 30 days, you've gotten your approval. The next 30, you've made your decision on your house and submitted all of the paperwork concerning the closing. And then that final 30 days is just, typically the time it takes for you to close on a house. And so you literally, if you go through the pre-screening, you help us get all of your documentation in on time, because we do have to rely on you for that. You literally can, within 3 months, potentially be in a home that you are purchasing or upgrading for you and your family. And again, although there's no requirement to have a down payment like traditional financing, closing costs for the home purchase can be up to about $2,700. And so we are trained to tell you to have a certain amount of money set aside. I believe that FAHI will then request, because FAHI, even though they're the administrator for the program, they are also the owner of Just Choice Lending, and Just Choice Lending is the one who is processing the guaranteed loan on behalf of the USDA. And so all of the paperwork for the application and stuff, it's going through the USDA's processing time. What the USDA gains from working with organizations like FAHI, and what you all gain, is that the USDA, because it's a big government organization, and government organizations are insanely understaffed, and this program is available nationwide. It was taking them months to literally get through one application. Like, people were waiting as much as 6 months or so for a determination, whereas we can get the process streamed down to as little as 30 days now. So that's what you get from working with folks like FAHI and intermediaries like us. Also, the assistance that I provide to you, other than any fees that would be required for like your if your credit check, which you can request a free credit report from freecreditreport.com. And that way, during the preliminary process with me, you don't even have to pay for them to pull your credit. And you don't want to, if you can, you don't want to do that anyway, because that is a hard pull that goes against your credit as well. But there are some fees, like minimal fees. I think it was like maybe $25 for the credit application or something like that. But we can still work to get around those and avoid those. But for the assistance that you receive from intermediaries, you do not pay anything to us out of your pocket. We never collect money for the Town of Andrews Community and Economic Development Association from you. What happens is those administrative fees that are collected at the end, FAHI through the USDA compensates us. So we essentially are like the SBA and other organizations that are paid directly through the government program. So we're just here to really make sure that folks in our communities are able to access these programs because like I said, people were so shocked that this program existed. This program has existed for decades. This program has been active and alive, and people have been using it for more than 20 years. And so in areas like the one where I am located, I know everyone is not necessarily in South Carolina or located in this area. I'm in an area where I think, a lot of people would benefit from this program. And it was shocking to me that we didn't have anyone in the Waccamaw region. And FAHI didn't have an intermediary already in the state of South Carolina before we got linked up with them so that I could receive the training and become a local intermediary. So anyway, if there are any questions about any of this, let me know. All right, no questions. I'm going to move on to the next slide. And this is just what you would need to do for the next step. So take this email address down for anybody who's seriously interested about getting their application in and trying to see what they can qualify for under this program. Again, you lose nothing if for applying, because if you don't get approved, you just don't get approved. If you get approved, then that's when you have to pay. If you get approved and accept the loan, then that's when you just have to pay your normal closing costs like you would with any other loan. But take this email down. It's toaceda502@gmail.com. When you email us, send us your name, your phone number, the county and state of your residence, because we want to go ahead and figure out, what the low and very low income is for your situation, depending on where you're located. Tell us if you're homeless or if you're a veteran. And the reason we ask these questions is because it also tells us about priority processing for your application. Because like I said, for the family in Michigan who are displaced, because they are considered homeless, because they're displaced, their application gets priority processing, and so do the applications of U.S. veterans. Tell us the number of people in your household, because again, that helps us to determine the low and very low income rate for the applicant. And then we need annual household income. Now, annual household income includes all adults and all dependable income, including child support, Social Security, and that kind of thing. And what we do is we look at each individual circumstance, like we do for all of the other qualifying conditions, to determine whether or not that income will qualify. So if you receive child support, but your child next month is going to turn an age where they no longer will be receiving child support because they're going to be considered, an adult or emancipated, then we would know that even though you've been receiving this money for the past 18 years or 20 years or whatever it may be, that next month that income is going to terminate, and so that would not be included in your annual household income. However, for folks who live in households where they have adult children who are working, then the household income of those adult children should also be included in your household income. So it includes all of the adult income and all of the miscellaneous income in the household to determine eligibility. Again, because we are committed to the community and economic development of the town of Andrews, we give preference for processing local applications to our residents in and around Andrews, South Carolina. And by that, I mean, I had a lot of people, because I'm from Georgia, who signed up and who were interested in the program. And those folks are out of state. And even though I do, like I said, I'm helping a family in Michigan, I do help folks in Georgia. Florida, and other places where FAHI covers that region and provides service. My priority is to help the folks in my community because I can actually see, the need here, and that is actually the purpose of the TOACEDA. And so, charity always begins at home. But I consider any of the counties in this surrounding area to be supported by, to be connected to and support, and by Andrews. And so any of these local South Carolina folks, like I know one of you is not from the Georgetown area, you would get the same consideration as our local residents. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, we have about 15 minutes and I wanted to show you guys, I'm gonna pull up something else right quick. So I wanted to show you, when I talk about eligible household income, can you all see my screen still? I should still be screen sharing. I wanted to make sure. Okay, so as you can see, this is the eligible income for Williamsburg County is for 1 to 4 person household. Very low income is $26,200, and that includes all adult income and all the income in the household. And low income is up to $41,900. Now, I wanted to show this because Georgetown County and Williamsburg County are essentially connected. And if you're in the town of Andrews, depending on which side of the road you're on, you literally can be, you literally, I'm sorry, is someone chatting me? Depending on what side of the road you're on, you could be, in either Williamsburg or Georgetown County. So we look at low income as being 41,900. The income for Georgetown County is different. So if we go down here to Georgetown County, as you can see, for one, there's a change in Georgetown County. Here, you can see from 1 person to 2 person to 3 person to 4 person, whereas Williamsburg County, we saw that until you got at least a 4 person income, it was all the same. So that was for grant income because there's another program and I was assisting one of our local residents with getting a grant. I'll mention that program to you guys in case you know somebody who's in that category. But very low income is 31,250 up to a 4 person income, 4 person household. And low income in Georgetown County is $50,000. So you can actually earn more money in Georgetown County and be considered low income compared to Williamsburg County, which we know is our, next door neighbor. And in fact, if you're in the town of Andrews, a portion of this community lies in Williamsburg County. So the majority of it is in Georgetown County, but a portion of this community lies in Williamsburg County. And so if you work at the same place that a Georgetown County resident works at, and let's say you guys make $48,000 a year, you could qualify to purchase a home in Georgetown County because you're under the $50,000. And let's say you have 4 or few people in your income. But if you make that same $48,000 in Williamsburg County, you are no longer considered low income and you cannot qualify for this program to purchase a home in Williamsburg County. Anyone have any ideas or any comments about that? Hello? You're not seeing the screen, Veronica? Are you guys not seeing my screen still?
I'm only seeing the USDA 502, the steps in the email that you sent.
Okay.
That's yeah.
Okay, so you know what I'll do? Man, I don't know why you can't see this because this is what I have up on my screen now. So unfortunately, what I can do though is I can send you all a link. But what I was just demonstrating for those of you who are familiar with Williamsburg and Georgetown County and how Andrews is situated, and kind of is lies in both of these counties, is that this really depends. And when I say where you're located, when I say that your income qualification is based on where you're located, it really, even if you, like I said, if you did not qualify in Williamsburg County, because the counties are so close, you could still purchase a home on the program. You would just have to purchase that home in Georgetown County. So when we look at your income levels, we are looking at the county where you intend to purchase. Now, of course, most people intend to purchase where they live, right? Or what, because they work there, they have all of those connections. And sometimes counties are not as conveniently located as Williamsburg and Georgetown County, where there is a place where they can kind of be on the fence. But it would, if two people worked at the same job in Williamsburg, two people, one from Williamsburg County, one from Georgetown County, worked at the same job, made the same exact amount of money, they may qualify to purchase a home in Georgetown County and may not qualify to purchase the home in Williamsburg County based simply on the income limits that are set for those areas. And those income limits are determined by the USDA, and HUD. And this is like through a big survey and a bunch of political, stuff that happens. And so there is no waiver for that at the local level. There's nothing we can do about that at the local level except to advise you to look for a home in the county where you are eligible. And so since you guys couldn't see that, you're not going to be able to see this next presentation. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over it so that so there is a tool on the USDA's website called an eligibility tool, and it allows an applicant to go and see if they may be eligible. I did this workup that unfortunately you can't see. If any of you email me, I can send it to you as a sample. But what it is I wanted to show that you didn't have to have a lot of money to qualify. And so I used Georgetown County as an example, but I also wanted to show that you didn't have to have perfect credit. So this income eligibility assessment determination allows you to go in, you don't put in your name and all of that stuff. It just asks for basic information. It asks for your annual household income, and then it asks for total deductions. And total deductions are determined, by like out of pocket expenses, daycare expenses, and that kind of stuff. If you have any, you only need to worry about deductions if your household income, if your annual household income would take you over the local limit. So we'll ask for documentation and try to get you under that limit by applying any applicable deductions. But if you don't have any applicable deductions, that's fine, because as long as you meet the minimum household income anyway, you don't really need to worry about that. But in this example, I had an annual household income for um, a parent who had 3 kids, and had an adjusted monthly income of $3,430, okay, in Georgetown County. Now, the parent also had on their credit report accounts that were 30 days past due in the last 2 years, and an outstanding collection or account that they paid in full in the last 6 months. So these were things that were still showing on their credit report, that they had previously had a collection, but they paid it off in the last 6 months. And they had over the past 2 years some accounts that were 30 days past due for payment, right? So making an adjusted monthly income of $3,430 with a monthly debt obligation of $650. So that's like outstanding things that they had, like credit card bills or something that they normally are required to pay, with an estimated monthly insurance and taxes if they were to purchase a home of $366.67, then the estimated maximum loan amount that they would be eligible for in Georgetown County is $157,630. Again, that's not with perfect credit, that's not with a lot of income, and that's a four-person household with three people being underage minors with no income. And let's see. I am unfortunately, you all still see the slides. Y'all still see the slides? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions at this point?
I have a question.
Yes.
I'm in Shaquita in Florence.
Mhm.
So if we send you the email, will we be able, or can you tell us or tell me what the I guess the income limits would be for Florence, South Carolina, or would that be sent
I
in?
I can actually, while we're on the phone, I can actually pull that up now. Unfortunately, you won't be able to see it, but I can pull it up and tell you.
Okay.
And now, is Florence the county?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. Now, is that a rural area?
The different parts are.
Okay, because I'm not seeing it on the income listing, and they typically advise that if it's not listed, then the area itself is not a qualifying area. What is the
Okay.
closest county to Florence?
Um, is Darlington
Okay.
listed?
Hmm. And Darlington isn't listed either.
Okay. Mhm.
Now, let's see. If you have an address, do you have a specific address in that area? Because I've had an incident where a county was not listed, but when the homeowner was looking for the specific address to qualify for financing, because
Mhm.
we can look up addresses by
Okay.
the actual street address to find qualifying USDA homes, and the
Okay.
home itself was in a qualifying area.
Okay. I'll look around. I can get an address. Can I get an address to you at a later date?
Yeah, absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay. Okay.
Anyone else have any questions? No? All right. Well, I appreciate your participation. I hope that you got some information that might be useful for you or someone that you know. You have the email address where you can send us an email. You send us an email, and within 48 hours, we will respond back with a application and try to set up a meeting to do pre-screening with you. And if you have any other questions after this that were not answered tonight or that you think of, then just let us know. All right. Thank you so much, and you guys have a good night.